all about. Just acquisition of knowledge. This is a table, this is a chair, that's a tree, this is dad, this is mom, this is brother, sister, uncle, this is a building or a house, this is a school, this is teacher, and so on. That's just being brought in. In this stage of life now, the child is trying to understand, to put all that data into one solid structure. Now, of course, the child doesn't know that that's what it's doing, or he's doing, or she's doing. The child doesn't know that. But you and I, looking back, we can understand. Now, at this stage, it is important that your child ends this stage with a God-centered world view. Okay, that's your major task. It's that the child can understand life from God's perspective. I said yesterday that it's a most irritating period because this why question keeps popping up so much. Sometimes the why sounds defiant. I remember when I was very young, I said to my dad one day, he came from work, took off his shoes, and said to me, take them to the bedroom and bring my sandals or slippers or whatever it was. And then I said, Dad, but why do you send me so much? But his answer was classic. He said to me, okay, let's reach a deal. I stop sending you and you stop sending me. Now, I didn't think I ever sent you. So while I was trying to say, yeah, that sounds like a good deal, he said, so when your exercise book finishes, don't send me to buy you another one. I brought back the slippers. What he did at that stage was to give me understanding. That's what he did. Now he could have also thrown up his own adult tantrums and just rebuked me for, even questioning him for sending me and so on. But he put perspective into my life, just by the way he answered. So please be careful that we don't get unnecessarily irritated by the why questions. Okay? You are driving. Your child asks you a simple question like, but why do we drive on the left side of the road? Okay? All the child is trying to do, previously, it was taken for granted. But now the child is sitting in the back seat. There's something that is hanging. It hasn't quite gotten into the pigeon bone. Why do we drive on the left side? So, again, your role there is to simply learn to answer. Now, even without your child asking, you should answer the why question often. And I'm giving an obvious example here, primarily because it works towards your child's God-centered view of life. For instance, keep referring to the fallen human heart as the reason for his or her bad behavior. We make this mistake as parents, and I'm sure you've heard it, maybe you've even said it yourself. You see your child's bad behavior and you say, you children of nowadays. Us, that's not the way we were growing up. As though to say, you never had bad hearts, but them, they have bad hearts. It's not true. if their grandparents were to show up, they would go, We had similar problems with you. Okay, so we should instead be pointing to the human heart. Now, I've put 2 Bible verses there, primarily because they in fact answer this same question. So, the first one that I have here is Psalm 58 and verse 3. Psalm 58 and verse 3. It says, the wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray from birth, speaking lies. It's teaching 2 statements. Number 1 is that our sinful tendency is one we are born with. A child needs to know that it's not that you are getting bad, it is that we are born bad. Our hearts are sinful from birth. All that is happening now is that your sins are becoming more complex. But they've been there from the beginning. The second thing we are learning here is the issue of lies and deceitfulness and hypocrisy. Speaking lies. Having a life that wants to be one thing, but you know it's another on the inside. And just the need for a child to come to grips with this reality that my biggest problem is my heart. It's not my parents, it's not my brothers and sisters, it's my heart. That's the biggest problem. It's my heart that needs a cure. And then the more famous Luke chapter 6 and verse 45. The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. When your children do wrong and you take them into a private room to address the issue, please confront them once again with the fact that it's the heart. So that they can begin to understand behavior from its root source, the heart. Remember, we are helping them to arrive at a unified view of life. So when they see bad people doing bad things, their minds should immediately say, it's the heart. It's not because they are white or because they are black. It's the heart. That's where the issue is. Okay? Basically, getting back to the why question, your child is connecting all the dots and is often asking questions because of failure to connect. Help by giving God-centered and Bible-based answers. I gave an example yesterday, and we hope we all laughed, and it was meant to make us laugh, about the boys going in one bedroom, the girls going in another, but you and mom are going into the same bedroom. The child simply has to be told something like this. Yes, it's because we are married. Your mom is my wife. I'm her husband. And God joins us together in adulthood that we may be one. You've answered the question. And it's a God-centered and Bible-based answer. But often the way we respond, as I said yesterday, it's like, when a male dog gets onto a female dog and, it's near where you've been sitting. It's executed. Doing a thing like this when we are sitting around. Unfortunately, our minds tend to go into the direction immediately, and we're there, stop us. Okay, but really, what has happened is the child has found something that hasn't got an appropriate pigeonhole. And so, I better ask. So, simply try and answer biblically in a God-centered way, and the child sort of is. It makes sense. And consequently, later on in life, when sex is taken out of the marriage context, the child is already beginning to feel that there's something wrong with the way in which it's being talked about or discussed and so on. Because at logic stage, that's where it was put. Okay, the next aspect there, and perhaps I should have put it earlier on, this is a very important stage in a child's development. When a child is handed over to you, when they've already grown past this stage, you've got a nightmare on your hands. Their entire logic system isn't there. Not too long ago, I overheard our maid getting very angry with the garden outside. And the anger was because she discovered she had been lied to by the gardener. But listen to the way she spoke. She said, "Walitumpa sana. Futhi ulebepa inenem kalamba." Now that last part. In other words, it's okay to tell a lie to a child. But how do you lie to me, an adult? That is not God-centered and Bible-based. A lie is a lie. It is wrong whether it's being told to a child or being told to an adult. But no doubt, that was the logic that was implanted at this stage. And so, in growing up, she can say to a child, tell them I'm not here. That's okay. To now tell the people who've come to get in Congole, no, they are not here, but they are inside. The child has done well. But that is a terribly flawed logic. And the moment that is planted in, you find that the child now comes to you after this period, and that's the logic they now have in their brain. They are willing to tell lies as long as they are not caught. They are willing to. And to undo that, it's a nightmare. It's a real nightmare. Let me quickly go on to this side. The creation for redemption motif or pattern needs to be in place as spectacles through which to see things. Again, remember, at this stage is the logic we are putting into place. So creation primarily has to do with it. We are made in God's image. So our value system is based on creation. Okay, this is who we are in God's sight. So as you are answering questions, which have to do with value, You are constantly going there. Similarly, when you're answering questions related to bad, you are fitting it into the form. This is why we are what we are. Adam and Eve fell, we became corrupted in our natures, our hearts are sinful. And then finally, to the question, but what can be done? This sense of frustration, again, redemption through Christ becomes the answer. That without him, we are hopeless, and so forth. Okay? So just making sure that that is in place. Let me just make sure that we don't lose out on time. We won't go through all those verses, but I just think it's important that you have them there. It is in this logic stage that you do well to help your child see the principle of sowing and reaping, so that he or she knows that life is not a game of chance, it is logical. Now, this principle, brethren, cannot be overemphasized. You see, that the impression the world gives is that you become successful in life by chance. It just happened that someone struck gold. It just happened. Now, there will be rare exceptions to this principle. There will be individuals who just inherit major wealth from their parents and so on. The normal way of life is cause and effect. It's sow and reap. You sow to the flesh, you reap disaster. You sow to the spirit, you reap righteousness. You work hard, you earn more. And all those verses I've given you there are showing this from different sides. All of them. But it's important at logic stage for that to be embedded. So that the child enters into the next stage with the thought that what I will be in later life depends on what I am putting in now. If I'm not working hard at school, I'll be begging my elder brother and my younger brother later on in life. If I work hard now, I will reap the benefits. So it's a lot more than just, you are man, it's a lot more than that. It is sowing and reaping. Sowing and reaping. Okay, so it's a very important thing. Once it lodges itself in your children's lives, it's amazing what you see later on in life. They will spend a lot of their time sowing. A lot of their time. And not in public often, perhaps just in their own bedrooms and so on, but they've caught this principle that what I'm sowing now, I will reap later. There's no hurry, but let me sow. Okay, let's hurry on. I was really 1, 2, 3, 4, good. And then there will be the last 4, and we'll end there. When a child is asking why, in the context of loss or failure, it is important to explain God's sovereignty and eternal judgment. The mind is very impressionable during such seasons. Disasters begin when children are much younger, but they don't process them as much. Okay, my mom died when I was 9. To me, she went away. So to try and help me understand and benefit from that wasn't going to work. But to somebody who's older and a parent dies, it hits them. They are at that stage processing a lot of thoughts. And it's important for them at that stage to understand God's sovereignty. He gives, He takes away. We are His. He knows best. He's in full control. and so on. Remember, you are helping them develop a God-centered worldview. And also the issue of temporal judgment. We all deserve to be punished by God because we are all sinners. Often God uses temporal judgments for us to teach us, to help us. Therefore, learn from this and make sure your life is better afterwards. But there are a lot of losses as well. You know, your child is ever on their cell phone, whatever it is, and in the process it falls into water and it gets destroyed. Okay, again, it's the child. My cell